So you end up going to Iraq after Afghanistan.
I go to Iraq, and I'm in a program that's pretty well known called the Law Enforcement Program. And it's really like an operational type of program. They brought a bunch of like senior law enforcement and federal law enforcement guys over to Iraq to work with the military to dismantle the criminal insurgency, which is like gangs. They're like criminal organization. Track the money, take the money away. You can dismantle the organization. So they brought us over there, and we worked with the military on identifying and tracking money and tracking insurgents. And we did that for I was there almost 2 years.
You were there during the surge.
What's that? Yeah, I went there during the surge. I started in Baghdad, and I hooked up with a military unit. I was fully embedded with the unit, meaning I'm wearing uniform with them. I'm doing everything that they do in Baghdad. And then we went up to Diyala province, and Diyala province was Al Qaeda stronghold. And we cleared Diyala province out, and then we stood up the Son of Iraq program. So it took a while to clear it. When ISIS came back through, the caliphate, they came in Diyala and they took it over in 3 days, 4 days. And it took us like a year of hard work to clear it, and they took it back over in 3 or 4 days, and we lost soldiers up there. I wanted to talk about this. We did an operation. We lost 7 soldiers in one shot. We call them the Sinsel 7 because that's where they walked into they took over a compound, and it turned out to be an H-bit, a houseborne IED, and one of the last guys in tricked it, set it off, and 6 soldiers and a translator were killed. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd just like to read their names off.
Yeah, no problem.
So it was Sergeant First Class Matt Planck, whose brother is Neil Planck, that was a Ranger, New York Ranger hockey player. Staff Sergeant Jonathan Dozier, Staff Sergeant Sean Gall, Sergeant Chris Sanders, Sergeant Zach McBride, Corporal Todd Davis, and a translator, Roy. And those guys lost their life up there, and a real tragic thing. At the time, it was the most heaviest loss of life of military at that time in Iraq.
You knew these guys?
Yeah, I worked with them. They were part of the recon, and I'll tell you a quick story about it. So, where it's the first days of operation to go into the breadbasket. We call it Diyala province was called the breadbasket, and like I said, it was all controlled by Al Qaeda, and it's the first time. One of the compounds in one of the areas, training camps we hit, we saw the black flag, the ISIS flag, the first time. I never saw it before. And there's a picture of our commanding officer, a stellar hero, Rod Coffey. He was our squadron commander. We were in striker vehicles, up-armored vehicles. And there's a picture of him with the black flag. Nobody knew what it meant. We didn't realize it was the coming of ISIS, Zakari was the one that formed ISIS, if you remember that name at all. They killed him down there outside of Baghdad. So long story short, they're game planning about where we're going to go, what company's going to go. Hit this area, who's going to hit that, and they're deciding what to do with me. Because nobody worked with cops before, and the program was new. They didn't know what to do with me. So they thought, are you CID? And military, the infantry guys, they don't like military police. They feel like they put the choker on them when they're back in garrison, They're the ones that bust them for DWI and whatever. So what do we do with this guy, Donnie? Like, what can he do, So we're sitting at this table, and all the company commanders are talking with the squadron commander. Okay, you this is your objective. This is your mission. And Colonel Coffey turns around, and he says, who wants to take Donnie? And there's this Sergeant First Class, company sergeant, Bill Gowdy, man. He was a scary dude. He had these thick glasses on, man. Very scary guy. Never smiled. And he goes, I'll take him. And I'm like, holy shit, what am I getting myself into? Well, our objective was to go into Himbis. And Himbis was a place where they had a cache of weapons. They had training camp up there. And they also were holding a bunch of guys, torturing them up there, torture cells up there. So the day of the operation, we're heading up to Himbis. And obviously, it's fighting going on, and they have bands of IEDs around, so it's slow moving. You got to clear, stop, clear, stop, clear. And we hear on the radio that this incident took place where the compound blew up and these soldiers were lost. So that's what I was really there for. Part of it was like evidence collection and like how to track evidence and investigation. So when it came over the radio, I remember Bill Gowdy told me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "You got to get me over there, brother. That's what I'm here for, man. We got to try to find some evidence so we could track who did this." So he calls up on the radio and he says, "Hey, man," he goes, "Donnie, we want to get Donnie over there." And this is when I realized military and police are two different things. So it comes on the radio, "No, continue with your mission." And all I thought about, like, if this was a police officer getting killed, everything drops and everybody was running there to support the search or whatever. With the military, man, the mission is first and foremost. So even if you're losing guys, man, you continue on with your mission, man. And I didn't really understand that till it happened. I was like, no, I got to get over there. So long story short, we fight, we settle down to this breadbasket, man. We're doing operations all the time, and I'm hearing that the guys in the recon platoon, they're constantly going back to this destroyed structure and they're searching. They recovered all the bodies, but there's body parts missing. There's different things that are missing. They're constantly going back there, digging on their own. Superhuman stuff, man. Lifting this cement ceilings and things like that. So I said, we got to get up there, man. There's got to be evidence. There's got to be something. And I wasn't a crime scene guy on NYPD, man. But I thought there's got to be DNA. There's got to be some type of evidence of a trigger or something, a fingerprint. Plus, there's personal items, sensitive items, and human body parts that we're missing. We got to have closure on this site. So about a month goes by, and I go to the battalion, the battle captain, and I say, "Hey, man, I want to go up there, and I want to do a crime scene on this site and try to find stuff." He goes, "What do you think you're gonna find?" I tell him. He goes, "You think you're gonna? It's been a month, man. They're too busy. They're fighting. They're clearing the area still." I'm like, "We got to get up there, man. I mean, these guys are going every day, man. It's tragic." So he takes me in front of the squadron commander, Colonel Coffey, and I speak to Colonel Coffey. I say, "Hey, listen, I want to go up there, Colonel, and this is what I believe we're going to find." I had no idea, Beck, because I'm not a crime scene guy. I don't even know how to collect DNA, you know. I just figured this is why I'm here. And he says, "How much time you need, Donnie?" I says, "Give me 3 days." I don't know what's going to be 3 days or 3 hours. He goes, "I'll give you 1 day." We end up going up there, man. They secure the area, and we start digging. And one of the guys I'm with finds the trigger with tape on it. The trigger with tape on it. Now, you know when there's tape on it, there's usually a fingerprint somewhere to be found, right? So we got that. We start looking around. We start finding sensitive items. You know, the radio, encrypted radio, man. We find weapon systems. Then we start finding personal items, man. Licenses of the kids that got killed. Can you imagine if Al-Qaeda got a license of a kid? And you know, you know what I mean? Tragic, right? How they use it for propaganda, IO campaign. Then we start finding small body parts, you know. So we recovered everything that we said we were going to cover. And it was an impossible job done by a group of people, man. It was watching these people work, man, doing stuff on the ground on their hands and knees, moving pounds of cement, man, jacking up ceilings, man, to go in these little crevices. It reminded me of being down at the Trade Center, man. These little voids, man, getting in there, seeing what they could find. Well, long story short, man, because the guy that committed, you know, put the ID was in our database, and we identified him, Ahmed Genie, you know, off the fingerprint. And the guy was always avoiding us, man. We'd hear that he came through a checkpoint dressed as a woman in a burqa, and we never caught him. The unit rips out, and I'm still going back to I'm going to Afghanistan. Iraq closes up now, but I'm in Afghanistan for like 6 years on and off. Every 3 months in, 3 months out. And every unit that I embed with, I speak to them. "Hey, were you in Iraq? Where were you at?" "I was up in Diyala province." "Hey, do you know what happened to this guy, Ahmed Genie? We're trying to track him." "No, I heard about him. I don't know nothing." This goes on for maybe 6 or 7 years. I'm always asking. I'm always researching it. Everybody I came across, "Hey, man, were you up in Iraq?" "Yeah, we were in Iraq." "Where were you at?" "I was down in Baghdad." "Oh, no good." "I was down in Mosul." "No good." "Ever up in Diyala?" "Yeah, I was up in Diyala." "Hey, man, did you hear about the soldiers getting blown up there?" "Yeah, I did." "You ever hear about the guy that did it, Ahmed Genie?" "Yeah, we got him. They got him." I'm like, "What happened to him?" "Well, they gave him over to the Iraqi police. You know, I think he was a Sunni and they're Shia, so, you know, it was done." So then I notified the guys from 32 SCR, and now the word went out about it's over now, you know what I mean? The closure on it. So it goes out to all the guys that they got the guy, you know, this is what they wanted, right? And one of the fathers, Carl Dozier, that's an American hero, man. His family has fought, the Patriots have fought in like every conflict, probably from the Revolutionary War. And his son was Jonathan Dozier that was killed. And he writes, like, who is this guy from NYPD saying they caught the guy, man? Like, how, you know, his father thinks it's like a false flag, you know, like, why bring this thing up again? And Colonel Coffey said to him, no, brother, Donnie was in a special program. He's one of us. He was up there. He was running a gun. He was on the vehicle. He was out grinding out in the palm groves all the time with us. He's the one that, you know, facilitated the evidence to this, that, and the other thing. If he says they got him, they got him. And then I started getting emails from parents of the children that were killed, you know, soldiers. And I remember I got one from Chris Sanders' mom, and she said, you know, Don, she goes, when I lost my son, there's nothing that could ever replace that. There's never going to make me feel good about it. I mean, of course, I know he's a hero and he's a patriot, but there's never going to bring that feeling of my son back to me. But, you know, when I found out that the guy that committed this act has seen justice, it just a weight went off me. And thank you for that. And it wasn't thank you to me. It was thank you for many people. So that's kind of like one of the stories out of Iraq that I'm really most proud of, you know, that we were able to participate and make that happen and see justice for the families, you know.